Good afternoon. I'm 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins, and that guy right there is James Hopkins, meteorologist James Hopkins. We're talking about usually at Wednesday at this time we do our Wednesday weather brief, right?
Yep.
But today we've been doing it all week, and in fact we're going to continue, I think, through Friday as well, because we've got a lot of rain out there. And some of that rain is going to produce some isolated spots of flooding. At least it's a possibility over the next several days. So we do have a weather impact alert. It's for today, tomorrow, and on Friday as well, James. And we're kind of still thinking about Saturday, but we know today and tomorrow will be some of the heaviest rain out there.
Yeah, the problem we're having is, like you mentioned, we had one thunderstorm yesterday drop 2.5 to 3.5 inches. We had one up in Citrus County the day before, and that's what we're talking about with isolated flooding. It's not going to be widespread. The rain's going to be widespread, especially starting for tomorrow, where almost everyone's going to at least have the potential of seeing some shower activity. And I understand that tomorrow is a pretty big travel day for the 4th of July.
Yeah, today actually, great point, is a great big travel day as well. So when we have an onshore wind here, we call it like a west-southwest wind. We call it an onshore wind. In the summertime, because it's warm and it's humid, we tend to get some scattered showers in the morning. Then lunchtime they build up near the Tampa area, and then they move over towards the East Coast in the afternoon. Take a look at the satellite and radar. That is similar to what we have seen today. You can see this line that's over on the East Coast. That's what we had in the area earlier today. But because we have so much moisture out over the northeastern Gulf of Mexico, some upper level energy plus a cold front coming down to help kind of squeeze it all out, we're going to develop a secondary line. You see it right there in central and eastern Pasco County, and also look what's happening here offshore. So that's the whole point about this. It's not going to rain all day every day, okay? Today, tomorrow, obviously the rest of the day, tomorrow, Friday, same thing. But we will see waves of rain coming through, and then we'll get some breaks. And between now and certainly through Thursday night, a little bit on Friday, we've got a ton of moisture in the atmosphere from the ground all the way up. So when the rain does get to you, it could put down 2-3 inches in a short amount of time.
Yeah, and we're not talking about like washout conditions. Like you mentioned, we are going to have some dry time in there. You might see a few rays of sunshine mixed in, but what we're talking about is coverage, especially as we go Thursday night into early on Friday, where it could be relatively widespread. And what we're looking at is the potential with this pattern not changing for the next 3 days is what we call training, where you get a thunderstorm, you get a little bit of break, another thunderstorm over the same area, and just keep repeating that pattern. So that's where we're looking at the potential for flooding. And again, some of these rainfall amounts are 1 to 2 inches per hour in some of these thunderstorms, or again, potentially higher.
Yeah, and you can see the trough that's offshore. That's just an indication of like some extra lift out there. We are watching this for tropical development. We'll get into that. We're not concerned about it right now. We do think there's actually a better chance over here off of the east coast of Florida and off the Carolina coastline. But that would be Friday night, probably Saturday, Sunday time frame, and we'll get to that. In fact, here we are now, a 40% chance from the Hurricane Center that happens. Okay, and the change here is not only did it bump up to 40%, a couple days ago this was 20% obviously, but they extended it up here all the way up to Hatteras. So the thinking is that, the Hurricane Center says, well, yeah, there's a small chance that it is here right near Tampa, but there's a better chance that it's somewhere here off the southeast coast. What the models are generally trying to say, and they're starting to agree a little bit more today, is that something weak develops out over here. It kind of meanders a little bit. It might actually even back up towards Jacksonville just a little bit, but then kind of come back up and maybe parallel the coast and end up in the Carolinas. But mainly as a rainmaker, right? We're not even talking a lot of wind. I think, what do we see, James? I saw 25 to 30 knots, maybe
offshore,
35 knots offshore.
Yeah, and what the forecast model suggests you, which is why I think that cone is still there off of our coast, is when that front comes down, it stalls to our north, right stretching from Jacksonville kind of over towards New Orleans. It'll creep its way down a little bit, and it should very briefly, even the European model shows that we could potentially see a low developing off of our coast as we go Friday night to early Saturday morning. Then it kind of slides across the state, and that's where we pick up on the potential for maybe it becoming subtropical or maybe a little bit of tropical characteristics. But even this morning's models will still showing a very brief low, and you watch this as you take that on down. It's out right there. It pops up really quick, but then moves across the state. It could be a low, it could just be a trough, and then we get that low developing offshore. But the good thing now, and why the National Hurricane Center is not giving a 40% potential, is that now we have some models that are agreeing on this. What we were talking about 2 days ago.
We needed that.
The GFS took this thing into Texas 2 days ago. So now we're getting some better agreement on these models, showing really similar events happening as we go through the week and into next week. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be more into the Carolinas.
And you can see here, the green obviously is rain there on the map, but notice the little arrows there within that. That's the surface wind. And you can kind of see this happening right here, right? And so that's an indication that you've got an area of low pressure at least trying to develop. You know, if you've seen us tracking hurricanes, that you get all these lines, looks like tree rings, right? When you get a really big, powerful storm, that's equal lines of pressure. We're not seeing any of that. Again, very minimal, if anything. Tropical depression likely, could even be subtropical depending on how much dry air we get mixed in there. But either way, everything that we've seen would be very, very weak, and almost all of it appears like it would be out over the Atlantic off the southeast coastline. Now this is, what time we got here? Sunday at 1 o'clock. Let's go out through, look at the Carolina coastline really up towards Wilmington and the Outer Banks. In Myrtle Beach into play a little bit. But you can see most of that rain even tries to stay offshore, and that's through Monday afternoon, 2 o'clock. So let me back up here and just kind of show you, since it's a holiday weekend. This is Friday, 4 o'clock. See that frontal boundary? That's 8 p.m. That's getting close to fireworks time. This frontal boundary over Tampa, we will be drier altogether on Friday than what we have been today and what we will be tomorrow. But we will still have some scattered showers and storms around for fireworks time on Friday evening. I think it's just a little bit more than what we would typically see, so there will be some breaks. There will be some opportunities to get some fireworks in. We're just going to have to dodge a couple showers. Now, let's move forward a little bit. Let's go out through Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. Now, with the low moving over us, this is 10 o'clock. We're actually going to, you can't see it because the low is there, but we're actually going to have a pretty decent chance for some rain on Saturday as well. We've got pops up at, chances for rain up at about 60%. Okay, nothing terrible. I don't, no severe weather is expected, but we could get a couple heavy downpours. Then on Sunday, I think we lower the chances again, even though we still have that trough in the area, but you can see still pretty decent chances of rain. But that'll be pulling away at that point.
It looked like from, of course, it all depends on where that stalls to see what we're going to get Friday. It does look like the model's hinting that it's going to push a little of the heavier down to the south, and then same thing on Saturday. So we're going 90% chance for rain for tomorrow. So it looks like Fort Myers is the 90% for your Saturday, while we're around that 60, again, maybe 70, we'll see. And then Sunday, it does kind of push it a little bit further inland, where we're still going to see some storms here along the coast as we go into Sunday and west of 75. It looks like the bulk of the activity on Sunday, while the afternoon, is going to be to the east as well. And then again, as that moves its way out, could potentially circulate some drier air in to start next week. And the pops have really gone down for Monday and Tuesday as well. Again, unfortunate this all really comes for the weekend, but it does look like it could pull some drier air in, at least for the start of next week.
So that's Friday night at 9. That's a lot of moisture still, but you see the yellow trying to creep in, but it's not, because we get that weak low over top of us. That's Saturday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. See all that kind of moisture there, but watch Tallahassee and watch that yellow start creeping, trying to creep back down in. Is it going to get there? No. And that takes us out to Sunday afternoon and evening. But you see the moisture, most of it's up there off the Carolina coastline, off of South Carolina right now. And then you see as we get into Monday afternoon and then the Tuesday, we're slowly getting back to more normal type of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. It just does look like right now, here's where we are today. Look at that number. You see 2.24? That's the amount of moisture, if you will, in the atmosphere over top of Tampa. Watch that number. As long as it stays high, you have decent rain chances. That's Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, that's still high, over 2 inches. Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, you're starting to lower it a little bit. Monday, you're dropping below 2 at points. And then you'll see in the Tuesday, we're kind of back down there as well too. So it does look like the next 2 days have our best chance for that. The rain that's out there now, let's kind of time that for you. So this evening, we are looking at that first batch that's over on the East Coast. But notice what's happening here at about 6 o'clock. We've got another wave kind of popping up and developing right over the West Coast, right over Pinellas County, over parts of Hillsborough, western Manatee, and of course Pasco County. Now let's run this out through the evening hours. I'm going to stop it right about 10 o'clock. And you see the rain pushing slowly inland again. Very similar to what the rain did this morning and into midday. And then we had a break, and it moves over to the East Coast, and we get another break. So let's go from 10 p.m. through about 3 a.m. A little bit of a break, but look at the coastline now. Look at the rain coming in offshore. And I think by early tomorrow morning, before the sun comes up, it's a better chance for southern Pinellas and down into Manatee and Sarasota County. But here we go, 8:30, Thursday morning. Over at night, the water is warmer than the land. So you have more lift. So look what happens. The rain fills in, right? Water temperature is about 88, 89 degrees. Some areas out there are a little bit cooler than that, but mid to upper 80s. Our low temperature over land tonight is going to be in the upper 70s. So you've got 80-something and 70-something here. You have more lift over here. And that's what you're seeing right there. First thing in the morning, that's about 8:30. You've got more lift out over the water, so it made showers and thunderstorms. Now the sun's up. It is going to get through some of those clouds, and we're going to start heating the land up. And watch what happens. As we go through the mid-morning hours, you're going to see that the land starts to heat up, and watch that rain push inland. This is 9 o'clock tomorrow. There's the rain developing. That's 11 o'clock. We get a break. Here comes another line that develops. Everything moving from west to east for the most part. That's about 6:30. And then even tomorrow night, we get a break. And then right around 9, 10 o'clock, we get another wave of rain coming through. So you get the idea. It's not going to rain the whole time, but we are going to have those scattered showers across the area. And this is key, though, James, because this is Friday morning, the 4th. And what you want to notice here, I'm going to zoom this out a little bit, is there's some drier air up here.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to get down into the Tampa area for the fireworks. And it does like there's only a little bit that gets squeezed in here. We actually end up with more moisture over here that gets wrapped around and brought back in behind that drier air. So let's see what happens as we go through Friday at 8 in the morning.
Yeah, you can see that circulation out of the north.
Yep.
and coming into the west right around, or just south of the bay right there.
Which is opposite of what we've been seeing. West-southwest winds is what
Right.
we've been dealing with. And then we go to about, well, let me back this up, went too far. Let's go out to fireworks time. That's 7 o'clock. That's 8 o'clock. Look at that line coming through. That is 9:30. Okay, now, this timing will change. It's not, the radar, I don't think 100% will look like this. But the flow that you're going to see, watch that flow coming down from the northeast to the southwest, those storms coming, that's what it's going to look like Friday on the radar. And that's what everybody that's scheduled to do the big firework shows are going to be looking at the radar to find out. Because these are afternoon and early evening storms, right? And they will pass. So that's why I say there will be holes. I think there'll be some delays for certain areas that are trying to do the big fireworks. But I think most everybody gets them in. At this point, just looking at that, I know there's a little bit more dry air mixed in, and I think we're going to have a better chance of getting the fireworks in. What do you think, James?
Yeah, once we lose that heat of the day, I think what, of course, they're really looking at is lightning. We don't want to be standing outside and during a lightning storm to try to watch some fireworks. So if we have a few showers in the area, I don't think that's too big of a deal. And that's more of that pattern of getting the heat of the day, getting those big thunderstorms. And then once we start to lose that, once the sun goes down and all that starts to push its way down to the south, I think the same thing, talking about maybe a few delays, but it actually, even this is the latest model run, even the one I was running off this morning showed the same thing. It showed Friday morning down to the south, building in the north for the afternoon, and then that drier air working its way down into Friday evening. So yeah, I think it's looking a little bit better now with this model run. Like I said, the timing could be off by 1, 2, 3 hours. It just really depends. And this will more than likely change with tomorrow's model run as well. But just knowing that that is fairly consistent with what the models were showing this morning about getting some dry time in there, and that timing being shortly after sunset for things really starting to wind down for our area.
And the key is coming from the north. I mean, we've been talking about, let's back this up. See all that rain coming in from the west? There comes a wave. Coming in off the water, we're going to get another wave. Here comes another wave. And then as it turns, that's the transition.
Yeah, you can see the wind turning.
Now you see the turning coming down from the north there. And so there's actually a little less moisture to work with from up north versus coming in off the Gulf. So that's good news.
Yeah, and again, this is where we talk about the comparison of forecast models. So that one, and you kind of see where that wind comes together, what actually shows the front creeping down to our south, where the other ones, if it has it coming to the north, that's where you get the flow. The flow of the wind's going to go towards the front. So if the front does seep down just a little bit, we could get that reverse, and that's what that one is showing. And again, other forecast models show the same thing. Maybe that front right across us on Friday and that low developing off the coast and then quickly moving its way across.
Rain chance, we're going 80 to 90% on Thursday. All right, again, not all day. It's not going to be a complete rain out. I told my kids today, they had their electric scooters and all that stuff out in the driveway. I said, guys, bring it in the garage because there is a chance it's going to rain today. But they can still go places. They just need to keep an eye on the weather themselves. Now, Friday, look at this. That's drier air up there. So that's less of a rain chance right there on Friday than where? Down south. Look at that, Fort Myers, right? There's Tampa right there in the middle. So you get the idea, right? And unfortunately, some of this looks like it's going to be around 7, 8, 9 o'clock for that, and then pushing southward. Now Saturday, that looks like a lot of green. It is a lot of green, but this is more afternoon and evening stuff, okay? There's still enough moisture around that we get those afternoon and evening storms, but we don't have any of the yellows like you're seeing here, and not a whole lot of the darker greens, but we're going to still get some pretty decent showers. We're toying with the idea of having a weather impact alert for Saturday. If it's 60 or 70% higher pop, which it is at this point, we might do that. But that's our way of just giving you a heads up that, hey, keep an eye on those afternoon storms. They're going to be a little bit more widespread. Sunday, that does look a little bit drier, right? Still afternoon showers and storms. And Monday, even less. And then, James, when I came in this afternoon, you said, well, it looks like Monday and Tuesday really dried out. And like, finally, let's just get back to normal.
Yeah, that could also be, again, we see that low developing. We see that low developing off the East Coast. We can get that circulation and bring some of that drier air back into us. And again, we're not going to completely dry out it. Southwest Florida, it's the rainy season. We're going to see some afternoon storms. We have enough humidity to drive those without anything coming through. But that looks like more typical of what we're seeing Monday and Tuesday. Things look nice for the first half of the day all the way through lunch, and then we'll start to see some storms pop up.
So here are the rainfall totals, and this is by the Weather Prediction Center. And you can see if we zoom in a little bit, that's quite a bit. In fact, the National Weather Service out of Ruskin has that orange area along the coast. So most of this area, let me get it right here so I can draw on it for you. Most of this area right in here, around 6 to 8 inches of rainfall. Now, this is not a spinning tropical system with on the radar with a bunch of rain that's just all coming in and we get 10 to 15 inches of rainfall, right? This is spotty stuff as we've been showing you in the models. So you're going to get some come on, some will go to the north, some will come down here, some will come down here, and then you get a break. So this is not just like we're going to get, everybody gets 6 to 8 inches of rainfall. That is not how this is going to be. It's going to be very spotty. Let me go back to our radar right now, and you can actually see the rainfall rates that we've seen today. I'll show you what it added up to, essentially. And what you're going to notice is that it's not a very uniform rainy pattern, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we talked, it was a couple of weeks ago, we did have a weather impact alert for the day, and I believe it was on a Monday. And we're looking at, and you go through your 6 o'clock where it has the numbers come in for what happened today. At the airport was 1/100th of an inch, and we had a reporter in South Tampa because it got 3.5 inches of rain. So
right, yes.
That's what we're talking about, that area. Anywhere in that area, because the forecast models were showing maybe that storm was up in Tampa or maybe it was over in St. Petersburg. So again, you and I, Bobby, talked about this. It's like watching a pot of water boil. We know it's going to boil. We know bubbles are going to come up. You can't predict exactly where those bubbles are going to come up. And that's the same thing with these storms, where you literally can have 3.5 inches of rain in one area and 5 miles down the road, nothing. 1/100th is what the airport reported for that day, and we had flooding in South Tampa. And that is what we're showing the same potential with this. But what we're looking at, that's kind of normal. That's what happens here during the summertime. What we're looking at is that storm dumping 3 inches and then another one coming right back behind it.
So one here, then maybe one here, then maybe one here. But you can see, look, we had one here, we had one here, we had one here, we had one here. So it's not everybody all shaded in green. And that's how it's going to be tonight. That's how it's going to be tomorrow. And then even that's how it's going to be on Friday. Right, so that's why when you see that color, that's why I wanted to show you this, because when you see all the West Coast shaded in 6 to 8 inches of rainfall, and then you live in Pinellas County and you said, I got 1.5 inches, you guys don't know what you're talking about. we're not calling for everybody to get 6 to 8 inches of rainfall. So it's just kind of the nature of how this rain is.
Well, your neighbor could have got 6 inches of rain.
Across the street, absolutely.
Exactly.
They say wait 10 minutes, or you could just cross the street if you don't like the weather that you have sometimes. So that was that forecast. Let's go back out now. I want to take you to the forecast rainfall. One thing I didn't point out here, hopefully it'll fill in here in a minute, is we use this model. This is not only for looking at what we're going to see on land. I also look at this to see what the rainfall is looking like either west or east of Florida, because that gives you an idea of what the model's thinking as far as where that development will be. Because if you start to see more rain show up over here off the East Coast, right there, see all that? That's an indication that you're probably going to develop some low pressure, you're going to get some rain here. You don't see all of this orange over here, okay? So if you're in Tampa, And I know the heck of a season we had last year, so you're worried about anything tropical. This should make you feel better that anything kind of trying to develop is probably going to be spinning around or doing something out here. All right, this is just moisture coming through for us. So that's another good thing. Now, because of this, we end up what's called an excessive rainfall outlook. And that basically means that because of all the moisture, the extra moisture, if you will, because we don't get these all the time. We get afternoon showers and thunderstorms a lot, but we don't get an excessive rainfall. We certainly don't get a 2 out of a 5. But because we have all that extra tropical moisture from the ground all the way up, we could get some of those heavier downpours there along the coast. That's for today. This is for tomorrow. And then this is for Friday, which is less, which is good, right? But you notice how it shifted southward. In fact, it shifts southward tomorrow. And then this is for Saturday, still along the coast, but we're drying things up a little bit. And Sunday looks very, very similar as well. So
I think with the potential for this excessive rainfall throughout the week, especially when we get to Sunday, it's going to be very isolated. But again, when you have ground that's already saturated from all the rain you received today, tomorrow, and Friday, it doesn't take a lot for flooding. You get a lot of runoff. The ground can't soak it up. And then you get the spots where you're driving through these flooded streets. It just rains faster than the drainage system can take it away. And that's the potential is, within 25 miles of any point within that shade of green, you could see the potential for some isolated flooding. And it does go all the way through Sunday. But you see how it really shrinks things down as we're trying to get that drier air to come in.
yeah, and I think that's what'll eventually happen. And we just have enough moisture left over that it's kind of smart that they go ahead and do that. Now, let's talk tropical development. So I've got a little bit zoomed out here for you so that you can see this area in the Eastern Gulf. And you can also see this area here. Okay, this is the European model. This is the 4th of July at around 12 o'clock, all right? Broad area of low pressure here, that's no tropical development, right? This is Saturday at 11 a.m., right around noon. Look at this. See this? Starting to maybe be out over the Atlantic. That's not much at all. Now let's go up to, well, you see that? This is Sunday, and what was here and is now up here, and then it's up here on Monday. That's late Sunday night, early Monday morning. All right, so it's a broad area of low pressure that kind of forms and then moves out northeast out over the Atlantic and then kind of drifts up along the Carolina coastline. That's what the Europeans thinking. Here's the GFS model. It's had a broad low out here, which, hey, give it some credit. That's kind of what we have been seeing with all those storms in the Gulf. But then what does it do? Kind of takes it up to here. This is Sunday night. Look what it's doing. It takes it right up the coast, goes right up something like this as we go through Saturday night, Sunday, and Monday. So finally, and this is what James and I, we were talking about today, was that finally there's some agreement between the two major models about where that development will be. And that started yesterday, and that's one of the reasons why the Hurricane Center had that little hatched area of possible development kind of stretched out over into the Atlantic, more so into the Gulf.
So now when we get to these models agreeing, now it's the point where you got to hone it down, because you just saw what the European did. The European did is when into Monday, it pushed it over land. So now we kind of got an idea of where the better potential is for the development, but will it stay over water? Will it go over land? So now you're talking about a difference of 50 to 100 miles could mean the potential for a tropical depression and nothing at all, but just some rain.
Here's some wind. I know that's what you're thinking, right? Tropical system wind. Nope. This is Thursday, 5 o'clock. We still have some onshore winds, but not terrible for us, west-southwest, and they're actually going to start to lighten up by late Thursday into Friday. This is Friday. I don't see a lot. And the main reason why? Weak area of low pressure right over top of us, right? Look what's happening over here off the East Coast. Look at this. That is the low. In fact, it was up here Friday. It's kind of here on Saturday, so a pretty good stretch of wind here, 20, 25 knots plus, pushing some water up towards the Jacksonville coast. But then see that? That was Saturday through Sunday, and the low drifts right up here. Now the winds are all blowing up from the south to the north there, up towards the Hatteras area. You do not see anything down here for us to have to worry about, which is fine with me.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So finishing up here, guys, with our 7-day forecast. We're looking pretty good here. One thing that we need to keep an eye on is whether or not we're going to keep a weather impact alert in for Saturday. Kind of leaning